Safe in my cozy little bubble, I can pretend like death doesn't even exist, although I know it does. Without a moment's notice, death will come for all of us. No matter how much we try to superglue ourselves to this life that we are living, one day we will all say goodbye, which should compel me to live better, shouldn't it? "I'm not afraid to die," said a good friend of mine with ease. Unlike many, she had already stared death in the face and won, having been diagnosed, treated, and pronounced cancer-free. Like a soldier returning from battle, she had wrestled with mortality in a way that was foreign to most, including myself. I, on the other hand, timidly approached death from a distance. Death made his way into my life on a rare, snowy Thanksgiving day in Texas. I was awakened by an unexpected early morning phone call signaling something was wrong. "You should come to the hospital now," were the words that I heard the nurse say. And before my mother and I could get to the hospital, my grandmother died. Within a 2-year period, my grandfather did too, leaving my adolescent mind with haunting images and memories of death, sickness, corpses, caskets, and cemeteries. Thus, death became uncomfortable for me to think and talk about. In fact, it still is, which is why I limit my daily news consumption and avoid violence-filled movies. This is my futile attempt at self-preservation. Safe in my cozy little bubble, I can pretend like death doesn't even exist, although I know it does. Without a moment's notice, death will come for all of us. No matter how much we try to superglue ourselves to this life that we are living, one day we will all say goodbye, which should compel me to live better, shouldn't it? Unfortunately, despite this inescapable fate, I still find myself chasing fleeting and superficial notoriety, greedily accumulating more stuff, and spending way too much time on social media. I know it's shallow, but being self-absorbed is so seductive, especially when this seems to be the way everyone lives their lives. But no matter how deeply immersed I become in my own little world, when sudden death happens to someone in one of my circles, it always pulls me back to sobriety. Maybe you can relate. I see more clearly that this life is not about self-preservation at all. It happened several years ago when a fellow writer, speaker, author, blogger was tragically killed in a house fire. She and 3 other family members were instantly taken from this earth. News of her death was like someone puncturing my little bitty bubble with a needle, jolting my distracted mind back to what matters most. Shortly after the announcement of her death, a Facebook Live video surfaced of her entitled, "How You Finish Matters." Ironically, she spoke about how to live so that people will speak well of you in death. Her words foreshadowed how she would be remembered just 8 months later. I believe that although she left this earth suddenly and tragically, she, like my friend, would have probably said, "I'm not afraid to die too." She had lived a life worth dying for, discovering what Jesus meant in Matthew 10:39 when he said, "Whoever finds their life will lose it, and whoever loses their life for my sake will find it." Before she ever experienced a physical death, she had already encountered death that comes from a relationship with Jesus Christ. This invisible transition takes place in the hearts of men, but it can be seen in the uncommon actions of people who believe in Jesus Christ. Forgiveness, adoption, undeserved kindness, unmerited favor, reconciliation, sacrifice. When people willingly choose to move in a direction that counters the one that they would naturally take, when they choose to do this because of a spiritual death that has occurred in their hearts, this is the type of death that Jesus modeled before he ever died on a cross. In your relationship with one another, have the same mindset as Christ Jesus, who, being in very nature God, did not consider equality with God something to be used to his own advantage. Rather, he made himself nothing by taking the very nature of a servant, being made in human likeness, and being found in appearance as a man. He humbled himself by becoming obedient to death, even death on a cross. Philippians 2:3-8. Satisfaction in life does not come by living selfishly. I am learning that a life well lived comes by learning the art of dying to ourselves daily. In death, we discover life. And although I'm not ready to die, death isn't something to be feared. I know this. Our physical death should motivate us to make every moment count, including those moments that are seemingly insignificant, obscure, tough, ugly, and routine ones. When I die, I want it to have mattered that I ever lived. This type of significance isn't measured by material possessions, but by our character. This is the type of life worth dying for. A good name is better than precious ointment, and the day of death than the day of one's birth. Ecclesiastes 7:1. Sis, as always, I want you to be encouraged. I'm in the pew on this one, deeply in the pew and not the pulpit. Join me next week as I start a new series, How to Cultivate Relentless Hope.